So your tenant isn't paying rent and you need to know what to do. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what you can expect in the eviction process, how to actually get your money back, and I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know to evict a tenant for not paying rent. To start things off, my name is Bara Fatal. I am a realtor here in Ontario, and with years of experience with working with landlords, I decided to make videos like this to help landlords like yourselves better navigate the life of a landlord. So let's get started. So your tenant isn't paying rent. First of all, there are two avenues to go through with this. Do you have a lot of time or do you not? So if you don't have a lot of time, usually what we recommend is something called cash for keys. If you need them out of the unit as soon as possible so you can re-rent it or you can do something else with it, regardless of what that is, there's always a cash for keys option. You pay them, you can negotiate a fee. Usually if that person isn't paying rent, they're tight on money, so you can negotiate a good payment. Moving on, let's talk about the legal approach. Starting off, what you're going to do is you're going to give your tenant an N4. This is the notice to end tenancy for non-payment of rent. I have a video on my channel. It will be linked in the description on how to fill out this form. What you're going to want to do is make sure you fill out this form properly, and you're going to serve it to the tenant. You're going to serve the tenant either in person by knocking on the door and handing it to them, or handing it to an adult in the premise or the unit that they're renting, or you can even mail it to them. But keep in mind, if you're going to mail it to them, you're going to need to add another 5 days on the termination date, which if they're renting month to month is going to be 14 days. If they're renting week to week or day by day, in that case you would give them at least 7 days notice. With that said, you filled out the N4, you've given it to them. Now we're going to move on to the next step. What you're going to want to do now is to fill out a certificate of service. This certificate basically acts as proof that you have served this person and you've given them the N4, so that if they do not act within the allotted time, whether it be 7 or 14 days, you can then file an L1. Now there is something you'll have a few lawyers recommend, and through this process I always recommend contact the Landlord and Tenant Board, make sure what you're doing is right, and talk to a lawyer or a paralegal. In this case, they can help you as well. I am a realtor, so this is not legal advice, it's just what to expect and how to navigate the issue. And now you've waited, for example, let's say 2 weeks, and we're going to move on to the next stage. You filled out that certificate of service. You're going to take those two documents, a copy of the N4 that you gave the tenant and your certificate of service, and then you're going to fill out an L1. I also have a video of that on my channel. Feel free to watch it to walk you through how to fill out an L1. In filling out the L1, you'll be applying for an application to evict a tenant for non-payment of rent. This tenant hasn't paid rent and they owe you money. You do not need to fill out another application. This application will suffice for both the eviction and for getting your money back. Now it can get more complicated down the line, but I'll walk you through that. Let's go step by step. So you filled out the L1, you filed it. At this point, you want to make sure you have a very detailed record of all your communications with your tenant. You do not want anything coming up at the time of trial. With that said, you're going to be attending the hearing, and if you have everything that's pretty straightforward, it's clear that the tenant isn't paying rent, you will usually get the ruling in your favor. However, before the hearing comes up, what we typically advise, and this is why I mentioned talk to a paralegal or a lawyer, is that they can usually write what we call a scare letter, because as soon as you apply for an L1 application, you can do a lot of damage to the tenant. A, you can hurt their credit score. B, you can also have their name registered on the Landlord and Tenant Board, that they have a case against them, and then when other landlords are looking to rent out, if they have a diligent realtor, they will see that there's a case against this person and they will not be able to rent elsewhere. Now the sad reality is a lot of agents don't exactly go through this process when looking for a tenant for their landlords, and that tends to go down the drain pretty quickly. Now let's get into the hearing. So you're going to attend the hearing. The hearings are pretty straightforward. It is pretty much what you would expect from a hearing from the Landlord and Tenant Board, and if the judge rules in your favor, you will be able to evict the tenant immediately. If they don't leave at that time, you can even call a sheriff or the police department and they will help escort that tenant out of the property, and they will also have an order for you to get your money back. In some situations, you can even garnish their wages. It depends on the ruling of the Landlord and Tenant Board. However, if you've done everything properly and it is genuinely just a situation where they're not paying rent, you'll be fine. With that said, I hope I've been able to answer your questions. If you have any questions, feel free to comment them. Call me or text me. My number is in the description as well, or you can even book a call with me. The link is in the description. I hope I've been able to help you get a better understanding as to what you can look forward to in this process. If you need any legal advice, please reach out to a lawyer or the Landlord and Tenant Board, or even both. With that said, if you're looking for best practices as to how to not go through this process again, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help, and I wish you all the best and have a wonderful day. Bye now.